Hello and welcome to another Bosisco investing video. This is part 2 of Go for Gold. In part 1, we looked at the top 10 stocks over 4 trading days, the week of June the 16th to 19th on the Toronto Stock Exchange. I stated that these are usually the stocks that interest me the most and will be featured and analyzed in the coming months. In that video, I explained that I believe in buying stocks that have a broad market exposure. In part 1, I gave my reasons why resource stocks are attractive for long-term investment, with the caution that these stocks can be very volatile. So we need to be careful, traders and investors. Now in part 2 of this series, a gold stock will be selected for review. The mining sector could be a big winner this year, so today let's go for the gold. You might want to watch part 1 to see how I look for stocks to consider for buying. And I want you to know that I still am working on my skills to make these videos. How I would have liked to produce this video for last Saturday. In fact, I might have to consider my banner and change it to weekly videos every Sunday or Monday. Bear with me. One week I will have it ready for Saturday morning. Oh yes, I would like to add music and sound effects with these videos. So this is a bare bones effort today. So I will try to make my own sound effects, but there will be no singing for me. Now with so many gold stocks, how do we choose one to review? Let's see if we can target one. So here goes. Ding! Okay, so it looks like it's picked Barrick Gold Corporation. I think I've seen that once on the previous week's top 10. And oh my, can we try again for another stock? I don't think I particularly like this stock. Let's see if I can go again. Oh no, the arrow seems to be stuck in the target, and oh boy. Nothing seems to be happening. Well, it seems I'm stuck with this stock, so let's see what the fundamentals tell. Okay, so first let's look at the description and contact information page. Now, things I like. There is a web page for more information. There is an email, so we can contact the company if we have any questions. We also have a phone number to contact them with. Now, most companies will have an investor relations section for us to get further information. This page gives us some information on the stock itself. Things that I like here is the market cap of $59 billion. We are researching a senior mining company today. Now, it also has earnings of $3.17 per share, which I like. It also pays a dividend. And at let's say it's 1.2%. Now that seems a bit low, and that might indicate that this is a growth stock from what I explained in my first video, part 1. Now with mining stocks, this low dividend rate would not tell us that it is a growth stock. Most mining companies do not pay a dividend. Now only senior companies would make this payment. And we see here that this company pays the dividend quarterly. Now, most often we might see a dividend twice a year for a gold stock, or even might see it annually. So pay attention to this frequency if you are a dividend investor. Now, also note that this dividend may be paid in US dollars. Here we see that the payment is quarterly and is paid in United States dollars. Next, the PE ratio is 10.40. The PE ratio stands for price to earnings. Now this is rather low for a mining stock, so this would require a bit more investigation. The information at the top corner is the price the stock traded during the day. The closing price for the day is not here, as it is part of the page header. In the next chart we will get more details of the stock price over several trading days. On this page we get all the data we need to create a chart. In my early investing, I would get this information from a newspaper and then use this information to create a hand-drawn chart. What a lot of time that took. Today we take for granted how easy it is to create charts and use technical indicators. Back in those days when I first started investing, there would be individuals whose only job at the brokerage firm or at the bank would be to update the charts all day by hand. I remember once I paid a company to mail me each month a chart book for the main stock exchange and another book for the junior stocks on the venture exchange. Talk about receiving something that was out of date by 1 or 2 weeks when it was arriving in the mail. That was my early experience of looking at charts to figure out where stocks were going to go. Talk about a hopeless endeavor. This did not work out well for me. Now, this next table expands on the previous one. It tells me how often the stock traded during the day. I want to know that if I'm going to buy or sell this stock, there will be a trade at a reasonable price that I may have in mind, and I can get my order filled promptly. Now, most of my trades are made with a limit condition. That means that I want to fill the order at a certain price. Otherwise, a trade could be executed at what is known as the market price. That means I will pay what is being offered by the other party, whether I'm buying or selling. This would result in some additional costs, not in commissions, but in the stock price. Now, this gives me an idea for a future video, and I'm certainly giving myself a lot of homework in these videos. Now, here we see that going over this table in the video, just to say that if you want to trade options on a stock, this would be the information you would be looking for. Options are a higher level of trading, which I would not recommend pursuing until you understand the basics of trading. But I want to point out that this is another way of holding the stock without buying it. Don't worry if you are just starting to invest in stocks. Just know that these instruments are available for most stocks. Now, we finally look at charts for Barrick Gold. This is a 10-year chart, and it does not look great to me. I want to find a stock that shows a line going from the lower left corner to the upper right corner. So looking at this chart, although it's useful, it's not the ideal chart that I would be looking for. And of course, stocks don't go straight up. There is they will go up, they come down, they go up, but in general, I want to see it go up. Now, the chart does show us data initially in a meaningful way. But it does show that the stock is moving upwards from the end of 2018 to the present. I would note that if you're interested in swing trading, this stock is one to look at. The percentage changes at the correct time would reward you many times over. The caveat here is that you have to be careful to the time when you buy and hold this stock for a trade, and the time you can completely avoid this stock. Now, hopefully, technical analysis will give us some clues of when to hold and when to fold. Some of you might have gotten the hint of playing poker in that last sentence. Yes, sometimes the stock market is a gamble. Only time and effort will make you better at the game. Now, this next chart is for the recent 6 months of trading. Now, if I posted this video last weekend, it hasn't been updated for this week's trading. Now, this looks a lot better. We see the line eventually going from the lower left corner to the higher point at the right side. Now, this is my own personal charting software on my desktop. This is a chart that may be interested to buy some stock in Barrick Gold. At the bottom of the chart are two technical indicators that I tend to look at. Now, the first one is RSI, Relative Strength Indicator, and the lower one is what's known as, oh, I'm sorry, I got this mixed up. Oh gee. The RSI is the lower one, and Relative Strength Indicator, and the upper one is MACD, Moving Average Convergent Divergence Indicator. Now, I will explain these in greater detail in a future video. For now, let's just keep this simple. And what I like here is that they were both trending lower in an area that would give me an indication to look for a buy signal. So again, just be aware that this is something that I'm looking for. And in a future video, I'll try to explain this in probably a little bit clearer than what I'm doing today. Now, this is another charting program I use to give me buy and sell indicators. Now this chart uses a formula that combines the MACD indicator with the Bollinger Band indicator in a function that I've created, and it gives me a numerical value. Now in part 1 of Go for Gold, I indicated that these triangles do not mean that the stock is a buy. It indicates that buyers are starting to accumulate the stock with the expectation of it moving up. Now this might not occur even though people are buying, because you have to remember that although people are buying the stock, they may be wrong. And so in these charts in the future, you'll see there's red triangles, but there can be a false indicator. And I think you could see that even in this chart. If we look back in June and July of last year, you can see the red triangles ascending until they peaked at the end of August. And even in the end of last year in December and January and February, you'll see the red triangles were also indicating that some group of individuals in the market were selling. Now the ones in December were false flags, but we'll try to identify these because we have to cull them. Although the stock software is giving this indications, they're not 100% perfection. So we'll deal with that in future videos. Now, what I want to point out in this particular chart is if you look at the right side of the screen, you can see two green triangles. One was on the 2nd, and the other one was on the 5th of June this year. Now, on June the 4th of this year, I put in a limit order at $31.53, and it was filled later in the day, so I purchased the stock. Now, my purchase was based on the first green triangle, and you can see that actually the stock did drop down from that area. But there was another green triangle the day after I bought, which would give me some comfort that I was making the right decision. But there was no guarantee here that these green flags, as I call them, would actually be an indicator that the stock is going to be moving up. It does mean that I would have a higher percentage that the stock would move up. So let's move on to the next chart. Now, the previous two charts were at the time I was interested in buying this stock. Now, this chart is the update to Friday this week. Now, let me explain. I'm not a wizard and I can't predict the future, but this buy worked out and the stock is moving higher. And looking at the bottom of the screen, I would not be concerned that the stock has moved up and the short-term trader may now be interested. Well, okay, let me explain that again. You can see that both of the indicators have actually moved up from when I bought. So I would be concerned that some individuals may be interested in selling the stock and take a short-term profit. And there is if you look at the upper part where we see the candles, you'll see a number 2. And that followed after a high trading day. And this is one of the indicators I use on my first charting program that kind of gives me a clue that maybe this stock is going to turn. Again, it doesn't predict the future. It just tells me there's something happening in this stock. And if you even look at the middle of the chart, you'll see there's a number of red circles with a 2 in it and circles with a 1 in it. These are kind of indicators to me because visually I can look at a chart, but I can't tell what's going on. But these numbers are also a formula that I'm using that can indicate to me that I should, I guess it's like a yield sign that says to me that maybe you might have to stop and think about selling. So let's move on to the next chart. Now this is an update of my second stock charting program. Again, you see the two green triangles where I was buying, and again we see that the stock is moving up. Now, of course, this chart is also updated to Friday this week, and because the stock has moved up, and I saw some indicators on the previous chart, I don't have any red triangles yet. But in this instance, because of the RSI indicator on the previous chart, I would be concerned that short-term traders could sell the stock. Now, we're not there yet, but we have to be diligent. Well, I have to be diligent because it's my money. There are strategies here in selling, and when there is a potential sell flag, we will discuss that. I will discuss that in a future video if I see it. I'll post a video and just say, hey, Barrick Gold has just given me this red triangle. Let's take a look and review and see what we should be doing. For now, do not be concerned with the explanations here. It's maybe a little confusing. I've tried to keep this simple because there's a lot more detail to this, but I don't want to overwhelm you and get you more confused. So I'm keeping this simple. If you stay with me in the future months, I will get into greater detail, and I think you'll see more of what is going on here and what you can do when you do your own technical analysis of your stocks. Now, it could be that in the future, I would just say, oh, I saw there was some indication that people are buying this stock, and I'll just skip. I won't even post these videos. I'll just post, like many other YouTubers, the top 5 stocks I'm buying in July. So again, this video is just an introduction to keep it super simple. So let's move on here. So I'm going to do a summary of the trade on Barrick Gold Corp. Chart 1 gave me technical buy signals with the RSI and the MACD, and for me, my interpretation is that they're both in the buy zone on the chart. Now the second chart that I showed you was showing buying interest. Now I'm using the MACD and Bollinger signals, combine them together in a function and creating a value. And that value gave me an indication that on June the 2nd and June the 5th, there was buying interest in the stock. The action I took was that on June the 4th, 2020, I purchased at $31.53. Now, if I posted this video last week, this slide would have been appropriate. I would have told you that 10 trading days later, it is trading at $32.69. So in a short 2 weeks, it's up 3.68%. And if you remember from the first slide when I talked about value stocks and growth stocks, I said we are trying to get a 9% return, and that's for 12 months. This is only 2 weeks. So what I've done, I've updated this to last Friday. So let's jump to the next slide and just see how the stock is doing. Okay, so I've updated here the summary of the trade, and again, it's just a repeat of chart 1 and chart 2 signals. And again, at the bottom here, we show the action taken. On June the 4th, 2020, I purchased at $31.53. Now the next one is incorrect here. It's not 10 trading days. It's 15 trading days later. It's trading at $35.36. So in 3 weeks, it's up 12.15%. So now I'm exceeding the 9% that I want for the year, 12 months. So I am a bit concerned here that it might be in my best interest to actually sell this short term. But we'll take a look at this later when we do actually get one of these sell flags, and we'll review Barrick. Now, if you're liking these videos, I hope you subscribe, like, comment, and certainly ring that notification bell so you'll know when I post the next video. So in conclusion, I want to thank you for watching, and this is Bosisco Investing. May you have a great week. Thank you.